Welcome to the Wellness Amazon podcast, where we talk about everything body, mind, and spirit, health, and wellness. No subject is taboo here, and we have fun peeling back all the layers. Let's do this. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Wellness Amazon podcast. Special guest today is Nick Newmont. And yes, if you hear Newmont, you're like, heard that name before on the show. Yes, his beautiful wife, Audrey, was here before talking about hypnotherapy. Such a cool episode. And that's why I am so excited that Nick is here today. And welcome to the show, Nick. So excited you're here and that you're taking the time out of your day to be here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this. And yes, Audrey, thanks for the compliment about Audrey. Yes, she had a good time doing the show a few weeks back.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And when we were done recording, how this all happened is she told me a little bit about you and that you are such a huge, well-rounded talent in the metaphysical world. You do so many things. So do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners a little bit about all the things that you do?
Sure. Thank you. I've spent a lot of time studying formally in all that I do. And yes, I am a medium and a channel. I am an astrologer, a numerologist, a palmist. I do cards. I've been formally taught on all of this. There is a form of energy work that we do here. In fact, we are in my private office. It's called sentient healing, which involves working on the soul level in the fifth dimension. And of course, the use of crystals does become involved. And I also bless homes and businesses via the pentagram ritual, which is a very ancient Judeo-Christian pagan rite. It is a very fail-safe way of blessing properties and cleaning out energies that don't belong. And yes, I also am a certified hypnotherapist. So my job is never boring because I'm either doing readings for people, treating people on a weekly basis with hypnotherapy, or doing the energy work back there. And of course, with the house blessings, that is something that has become a very regular request to go in and do human and spiritual energy cleansings of property. People have become very, very attuned to that and interested in that. And we've done more this year, in this being 2025, than any year to this point. It's pretty amazing. So yes, I through all the different education, I'm very happy to have had, and all the wonderful teachers that I've had formally. I've allowed myself to become a one-stop shop for a lot of metaphysical needs. And of course, our center, which is quite large out here, we sell books and crystals. We have our own aromatherapy product line, candles, incense, bath salt, all of that stuff. So it's a really cool job to have.
Wow. You know, I always joke around, if people would finally throw out all their stupid welcome doormats, we probably would have less problems with blessing elves.
Right. Yep.
That's so cool that you do that. So if someone who has either no touch point with any of this or is even super skeptic about these things, what does this mean? You're a medium and you're a channel. What can people envision?
Sure. And by the way, you said skeptic. Skepticism is good. Skepticism means I don't know, I'm not sure. It doesn't say I don't believe. Skepticism is prove it to me and then show me, which that's good. We all need to have a little skepticism on a lot of things in life. So there's a difference between being a medium and a channel, okay? When a person performs absentee channeling, as I channel Merlin, the great wizard from a long time ago, you are stepping out and allowing the spirit to come in, and it is the mannerisms, the voice tones, the voice of that spirit that speaks through you at that time. And in people ask, where is Nick? And I am held in a space of light by angels. I'm very safe. And when I come back in, I have no idea what Merlin has said. So that's what channeling is. Now, a mediumship is more about engaging spirits as I'm talking with you now, that's talking to spirits and passing the message on to whoever the seeker is that's having the reading. And then mediumship is also, some mediums actually tap into deceased relatives, which people like. So you can tell a person that their mother is saying this or their father is saying this, or we get a pretty good description of who this person is and pass it on like that. And they'll say, oh, it's my Uncle Joe or whoever. So it's really kind of three different ways of doing it, of let's call it channeling in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I do more of channeling Merlin than anything else. But when I do readings for people, and I know that when we talk about being an astrologer or a numerologist or using cards, I know that's the technical media that's being used at that time, but I'm still getting information psychically or
Yeah.
precognitively. It's not all done just quote unquote by the book. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's coming in a lot of different ways. Now, protection is really important. And so when people want to do this kind of work, they have to be grounded in themselves. That's really important to do a lot of meditations where you're grounding and centering, imagining your toes like roots of a tree going into the earth. Anchoring and centering is really important. If one is concerned about energy with people, then you'd go to the solar plexus chakra, which is right at the top of the stomach, and imagine that like a lotus flower going closed, and that way one can send energy out, but they won't take it in.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be done in any circumstance or situation. You go to a concert or conference of some kind, or riding on a plane or a train, you can go and lock that solar plexus down, and then you won't be tapped into. Then I encourage that. And also all the things I talk about that I do, I teach all of those here at our center on primary and very advanced levels. So we turn out future healers and facilitators here too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things they learn early on. It's like protect yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I just had someone tell me that they imagine their aura going inwards and shrinking around them,
Mm-hmm.
and also never have your hands out open when you talk to someone who's like sucking your energy out, but keep them closed somewhere.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of times people want energy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's funny. And every day, look, I'm very warm and fuzzy. My distant ancestry is Italian, so we are somewhat animated. But at the same time, when I meet someone new and I'm not sure of their energy, some people are just where they throw themselves on you, and
Mm-hmm.
like I like hugging, but if it's someone I've never met, it's like, okay, let me read your energy a little bit before all of a sudden I'm swimming in your pool of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think when you're very intuitive, you know intuitively before you know consciously that maybe you're not very inclined to hug this person. There's a reason for it, you
Right,
know?
right. And
Yeah.
and just like when I finish doing Audrey actually goes on these house cleansings with me. This makes it sound like Hollywood movies, but there
Mm-hmm.
is an energy and ectoplasm that comes from that. And we get slimed. I know it sounds funny, like Ghostbusters, and not meant to desecrate what we do, but I always tell, even if I know the homeowner very well, look, don't hug me because you don't want this on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect other people's energy field, when I've been through something like this. So,
So that's gets me to the question. So let's say you go to one of those house calls, right?
right,
And somebody tells you already when they make the appointment with you, hey, something here is wrong. We know that something is wrong. You need to come. You need to fix this. You need to get rid of this. My first thought would be, Christ, how do I protect myself from whatever is in that house, right? To not have that latch on or whatever. So what do you do to make sure you don't take it home?
right. So the first thing is when you're setting up the altar for yourself, there are very high powered oils, ritualistic oils that we use and we anoint. And one of the main oils is called John the Conqueror, which is a very powerful blend. in the ritualistic world, or one can actually use frankincense and myrrh, which is very holy and very powerful. And so you anoint the crown chakra, the third eye, the throat, the back of the throat, because that is an entry point energetically, and then the heart chakra, the solar plexus, and then the wrists. So that's what we do to help protect. And of course, that ceremony, when we open the altar, we call in the four main archangels as part of that process. So we really create, the right environment for us. And then some of the words in that ritual are said in Hebrew, and it says to the spirits that are going to go, like, you're going to go into the light. I'm oversimplifying. And to other spirits, it says, you belong here, but back out of the way so you don't get hit with this. And again, I'm oversimplifying it. There's a lot of words involved in that, but that's also part of what happens. So it's an announcement to the spirits too. But in the 30 some years I've been doing this, I have never come away with anything that I would call me being psychically or spiritually attacked. I've been felt yucky, and there are cleansing baths that we take following the process, special things that we have for doing that. But I've been in places that were, if you want to, again, use the vernacular, haunted house. I mean, I've been in places where, it's like science fiction can't match some of that stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever had clients come to you that say, I need cleansing, not the house, but me actually as a person?
All the time. And to say it archaically, have we ever done anything that would seem, again, not like Hollywood, but like an exorcism? Absolutely. Where somebody has got a spirit in them, and we have to go in via the work that I do here and get that out. But when it's done in the fifth dimension on the soul level, the aura becomes so expansive that it's like just going in like arthroscopic surgery and just taking that out. And it's never about a battle. I've never gotten into anything that was so crazy where lights are blowing up and stuff like that. We're not here to fight with spirits. We're here to work with them. And if a spirit is trapped in a person or in a building, it really wants to go. The reason it's upset is it feels trapped. It's not here or there. So we help it get to where it wants to be.
That's beautifully said. Because a lot of times it's Hollywood too. It has a stigma where we think like everything is evil.
Yeah, everything is overstated they over sensationalize everything, but that's why they sell movies.
Yeah. And I have mentioned that in a different episode before, but there is a German word. It's called Fremdbesetzung. And I really like that word because if you translate it, it would mean strange attachment, right? We don't have to talk about exorcism. That's extreme. But like a strange energy attachment that just likes to be with you, but it also, sucks out your energy. And that's more what I envision when you talk about there's this huge spectrum and we're just taking out that tiny part that doesn't belong there. It's like a sliver.
Right. That's it. That's exactly it. And they do feel better. I mean, the healing work that we do, if you want to call it healing work, because really we're the facilitator of moving the energy. People have the mindset that they really heal themselves. When we refer to ourselves as healers, it's kind of like, well, it's a label, but we get people to heal is what happens. But people do feel better. And a lot of times it's something that has gone on. It's not just on a spiritual level, but it could be physiological, mental, or emotional, and getting things up and out of them where they've stored emotions, inside of them. A lot of times people forget. People really do dissociate, and emotions and feelings from past events get, blocked down in there, and we help them release it. And what a weight is lifted from them, when we've done that.
Yeah. Trauma manifests.
Oh my God. Yes. And God bless people. Sometimes they're afraid to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it. There are a lot of misnomers about therapy and what kind of therapist to go to. And I'll tell you something now, compared to when I first studied the energy work in 1995, 96, that people, the general public, And when your viewers watch this, a lot of them will agree that they either don't want to go to a regular doctor unless they got a broken arm or something, or to a traditional therapist. And they want to deal with things maybe more on a alternative way or a metaphysical way, which is good, except that on our end, we have to be prepared to deal with what people present. And that's become challenges. So the work that this kind of energy work has evolved so much in the 30 years I've been doing it, to the point where I would teach several levels of the healing work. We now have a full day class called The Psychology of the Chakras, understand what's in the aura. And we also have the physiology of the chakras. So when it's more of a physical problem, but they don't want to deal with it, by going to a doctor. So it's the situations in the world have forced us to keep reinventing and keep creating the remedies for what people present. So it's this sort of this game that's played. It's energy work has been around for millennia, but it keeps growing as the challenges and people keep growing. So it's actually really cool.
Yeah. People are getting a lot more open-minded about things, I think. And I don't know.
Absolutely.
And I think we before we started recording, we talked about astrology a little bit, and there has all these awakening of the generation shifts happening lately, and I think that has something to do with it too.
Well, it sure does, because back in July of 2025, Saturn and Neptune got very close, but not a complete conjunction, but close, because it set things in motion, which is removing the illusion so truth can be seen. And there's a lot of things that have happened in the world that you can see more is coming up to the surface. It's being revealed. Some of it, unfortunately, is heinous, but we need to see this. And so when we get to February of 2026, these two planets will align. They're retrograde now in the fall, and they'll turn, in the weeks ahead, around in late February and into March. We're going to see a lot more come to light as Saturn, which is reality, and Neptune, which is illusion, overlap each other. And so we'll get more into truth. I am very, very very apolitical. And what I have been saying to clients for a handful of years, the truth is we don't know what the truth is. And so truth is going to come out. Now, the Saturn-Neptune alignment happens roughly every 37 years. So when we go backwards, roughly as this was happening, the Berlin Wall came down. And, prior to that, it was the end of the Korean War, and Joseph Stalin had died. And the time before that, World War I ended, ending Germany's first attempt at global dominance. So it eliminates, a authoritarian oppression, so humanity can feel free, and move to the next level. We're going to see a lot in 2026 of reality, and everybody has a different comfort level. Some people will say, I thought that was happening, and some people are going to, I never knew about that. So everyone will have their own reaction to this.
Yeah.
There will be revelations. I know that sounds very biblical, but that's the operative word for this is revelations.
And
So,
no matter if I mean, the Bible alone, which to me is always historical text too. It's like people always think, the Bible's like, actually, the Bible is horrific. If you read it, it's horrific. It's just blood and gore all the time because, revelations are most of the time, they're not pretty. They're not pretty.
right, right. And when there has been decades and centuries of things where authority has done what it's done, at some point, that it's like corking a volcano. At some point, it's going to release. And that is a massive energy that will be prolific, and how that affects the entire globe. So
big energy shift.
Be prepared for this.
Well, and if you're like you know, more in tune of energy and the energy around you, the energy of the earth, the energy of other people, that can be very impactful and difficult too. Not because you might be directly affected by the shift, but because everybody else's energy is shifting. And
Right.
that's always what I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. People are reaching out. Our center, and it's a multi-personal facilitator center. It's not just my wife and myself. We've always been busy, but when COVID hit, it caused everything to go to a whole new level because people were fearful. There was a lot of things going on with humanity, and people were looking for answers, and so on and so forth. So it just keeps making things busier and busier. So, in the world now, where it was said, a few years ago that our country has de-emphasized mental health, that is not the case anymore. Mental health is really, really growing, no matter what form of mental health a person practices.
Yeah.
So, practitioners need to be ready for it. There is going to be an onslaught of new clients and patients coming forward, trying to deal with things. We refer to it as anxiety coping mechanisms,
Hmm.
helping people work through things and not just stuffing it down, really working through it and processing.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm ready.
Let's go.
Right.
So, as someone who has all of these talents and all of this intuition and who is very in tune with all of this, right? When did you when did you know that I think I'm different from other people?
Well, that part came later. I will tell you this, that when I was little, not quite 5 years old, there was something that I did and said at that time, and my mother realized that I had this precognition about me. Okay.
Mhm.
So it was there from when I was very young. And then as I got into my teens, I had a lot of precognition, saying the name of someone and they would show up, uh, things like that. I was an athlete, and when I played football on defense, I would have senses and visions of what was going to happen and be in a position to make a play. There's a lot of football players that are intuitive because they understand trends and things like that. I at times actually had visions on the field, knowing that what was going to happen. And then I went through a period where it sort of fell off as I was just going through life. And then in the early 90s, when I was in my, say, mid to late 30s, I had gone through complete redirection of my life, which was an actual career change, a divorce at that time, and so many different things happening. And that's when spirits really began to engage me. And so that was the end of when I was around 35, 36. That was like the end of the first half of my life.
Mhm.
And that was the beginning of the new. And to say that like that, and I remember the things that happened, ironically, when I say 35, just recently I turned 70. So it's like my life has really been two distinct halves.
Mhm.
That the old me and the new me. But it's not anything like I was a walk-in, their spirit came into me and I'm different. I'm still who I am. It's just that spirits were very directive with me on where to take things, and everything basically fell into place. But that in my late 30s, that's the first encounter with spirits and learning how to engage them and work with them. But if you had told me, when I was 30ish, early 30s, that this is who I would become, this is what I would do for a living, I would have told you that you were crazy.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And how does this, when you say interacting with spirits, because I'm sure I'm a very visual person, and some people always have that
Right.
question, like, what does that look like? Because, again, Hollywood, have we all sat in front of the TV in the end of the 90s and watched Ghost Whisperer? Yes, we have. And that's what we have in our head, right? So how does this actually in reality work?
Well, first of all, there's different kind of, let's call them non-physical entities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they will show up either as light bodies, just filaments. There are extraterrestrials races from other areas, not the little green men from Mars. It's not like
Right.
that at all. And those races are not threatening us. Sorry, science fiction has done a number on us.
Right.
And then there are deceased humans that are there. So it's just different forms, and sometimes it's just energy. Like, for instance, when you get into working with the 9 choirs of angels, the top 3 choirs, the seraphim, the ophanim, the cherubim, they don't look like humanoids. They're sacred geometric forms like wheels of fire and swirls and things like that. They're energy. They don't look like you and me with wings. And, the lower choirs of angels are more humanoid in how they encounter us. So, and everybody has those experiences. And sometimes, especially when I'm doing the energy work, deceased members, whether friends or family members of that person, will come in and they will announce themselves. And when I will ask the person who is whatever the name is, and they'll say, oh, yeah, that was so and so. So we get it as a name, but they are wispy, even as humans. It's not like they seem dense. There's enough of them that they appear to be able to see in the ethers and then be able to communicate that.
Do you ever
So,
encounter things that are, and not labeling anything, we're not labeling things as good and evil or bad, good, whatever. But do you ever encounter any of these entities where you go, nah, don't like that?
yes. So, and this happened with a client recently that's just engaging more of a metaphysical path. So there are beings that we call low-level astral beings, and they're small and they're very cartoonish, and they try to look somewhat menacing, and they will try to get in your way when you're first on this path. But they're simply an energetic form that tries to intimidate, but they have no power. They can show up in dreams. They can show up as a feeling of energy. And I tell all my clients and students, just walk toward them because they can't hurt you. And when they see that you're confident, they back out of the way and they leave you alone.
Yeah.
I have worked with, say, energetic forms that definitely were not welcome, and have had to get rid of things that had some energy to them, and some of them do look weird.
Yeah.
And then there's also, by the way, in spirit form, there's also grand mythological figures too. Mankind has given so much energy and thought to mythology that these beings do show up in form, whether it's Greek, Roman, Chinese, Egyptian, Norse. We see these beings show up because we have given them energy, and they are elementals, therefore their energy, and they do interact. It's pretty cool.
How does that saying go? What you pay attention to grows.
Absolutely. So if we're going to give something energy, we are going to create it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The,
And
the
what do
main
you,
thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's just, I wanted to see when you encounter that, and I'm asking for totally personally and selfish
Right.
reasons because I have had the same thing happening. When you encounter something that's more, on this a little bit of a tricky side, how do you approach that?
Well, first of all, if it's an energy work or on myself, and I'm reaching here, this is a crystal. This is a tetrahedron. It's a sacred geometric form. Okay, so it's like a 3-sided pyramid, not a 4-sided. And so the use of energetic tetrahedrons to protect becomes very important. So this creates an energetic dome, so to speak, that's very hard to penetrate by spirits. And I don't normally get into conversation with beings like that. I have a sense of why they're there, but we do escort them into the light. And there are invocations that are said in the energy work, how you're calling in what's called the Decan Delta codes, which is the Akashic records of the soul, and all the angelic beings and these accelerations of the energy field. Sometimes the language that's used in the pentagram ritual is used periodically to take this session up to a much higher level and to create more protection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we do it. But these spirits are told, yes, you're going to go now. There is a place for you.
Mm-hmm.
And really haven't had pushback.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could tell a juicier story, but when you accelerate the energy field in the way we know how to do it, it creates such centrifugal force that it creates a vacuum that those spirits are taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when is it a problem? When the human becomes too attached to the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we can't help them because they either hold on to it or they bring it back on their own.
So
And
it's the
and
person.
and there are a couple of them through the years I've said, look, I can't help you anymore. You're
Mm-hmm.
causing this. So when when you feel that you're done carrying on this relationship with this spirit, let me know, and then you know we can take care of it. But and a lot of times when we go to bless a home, yes, there's energy from previous tenants and spirits,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times the human energy is the contaminator more than the spirit's energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's certain people when they come to my house and they're leaving, I'm saging.
Right, right, right,
it's it's the
right,
people.
right. And when we
Yeah.
do houses, sometimes we have to tell them, look, I know that you're concerned about this, but this is what you're doing. And I haven't used these words until now in this show, but I am a profiler and I
Mm-hmm.
can go to someone's desk when I do a business and there's no employees there. I can go in and feel the energy and tell the business owner all about that person that's sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where they have decided whether they would keep or terminate that employee
Mm-hmm.
because of
Yeah.
what we uncover, you know.
Yeah. That was always a very hard concept to have in the business world because people always say, "Oh yeah, it's probably the soft skills that are missing." And I always thought, "No, it's beyond that. Almost like a character energy thing that goes forward. It's not a soft skill missing or hard skill
Right,
missing. It's
right,
something else, but I couldn't put my finger on it." And then, most of the time when you say something like this, you get looked at like you have four heads.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Right. Well, as time goes on, the mainstream is picking up on it more and more. The periodic podcast that I have done for 5 years, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus at the moment, is actually called Mainstream Metaphysics.
Mhm,
And if any viewer wants to go to YouTube, there is a Mainstream Metaphysics channel that I do, and they can watch past shows.
mhm,
A lot of the guests I've had, but I called it that on purpose, mainstream metaphysics, because we are moving more toward that. I mean, you watch TV shows, and in a TV show, instead of there being like a picture, there will be a crystal. Their set design is using crystals now, or they'll make jokes about Mercury retrograde. Oh, it must be Mercury retrograde. You know, poor Mercury, one of the smallest planets,
right.
but Mercury gets blamed for everything.
I blamed him yesterday, I'm sorry. But usually when there's tech issues going, I'll look in the calendar and I'm trying to find, are we in a retrograde right now?
Well,
Uh,
as we sit here today, we're in the shadow period of Mercury
mm,
retrograde. We're not
mm,
there yet, but we're
mm-hmm.
going there. It's funny, Mercury being a little planet. I've never said this publicly, but Mercury is like Kevin in the Home Alone movies. He's the little guy and
Yeah,
he's always getting in trouble.
yep, yeah. But he's still mighty powerful.
That's
Mighty
it
powerful.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've never said that before.
It's like, there's always the joke about short people that they're always the most feisty one because they have to, because they're short, and they
Right.
have to always look up. And it's like, that's how I feel as Mercury. Mercury is a short person that's very feisty.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you think of the god Mercury, Mercury was the busiest of all the gods,
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of different things, not just like Jupiter's the god of thunder, you know, like Mercury does a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's
How
going to
does
make
this
mistakes.
impact you? So how would, you walking through reality and through the world and everyday life versus someone who has none of these gifts, or not even, I don't want to say none of these gifts, because I think like deep down almost every human has it, but just doesn't do anything with it, doesn't train it, ignores it. How is your life different with picking up all of these things?
Well, the first thing is, and I had to learn this in the early days of recognizing these gifts, that I had to, in public, lower my antenna. Okay.
Mm,
I don't want to hear everybody's thoughts and I don't want to engage everybody on that level. I have a life of my own and I live that life and what I do every day. Also, the other thing is that me picking up on other people's thoughts or whatever, also, those parties could feel that it might be intrusive or invasive too. So
mm,
a person could actually say to me, I didn't ask you to read me, and they would be right. So I just reel it in and go through. But if I sense that there's something wrong with someone energetically, I avoid it. People ask me this, at this point in my life, I've been on a lot of plane flights, and I've never looked at the people in the, waiting to get on the flight in the terminal and gone, uh-oh, I'm not getting on this flight. That has never happened to this point, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I just had this sense, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of things that you can do, like people say, put your bubble of immunity around
Mm-hmm.
you, bathe yourself in white light, invoke angels. I don't worry about it, but I'm not stupid about it too. In fact, one of my teachers and mentors way back said that she was reading me and said it's not in your nature to have accidents or be robbed or anything like that. And she said, but the spirit guides are saying, but please work with us. Don't go into bad areas of town with $100 bills hanging out of your pocket, inviting it. You know, use a certain amount of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't put myself in anything that would be a threatening situation
Mm-hmm.
too. And it's not
Yeah.
like I don't go out in public and stuff like that. Of course I do. I go out all the time.
Yeah. If you do, let's say, I love that airplane analogy because you're, confined space, everybody's closed, everybody's probably stressed out too. Do you have like a ritual for yourself when you come home where you're like, "Ugh, gotta get it off of me, gotta get all this energy off of me"?
That I have to tell you something. It is a shower. It is a shower. And one of the things, and this is anybody can do this, if you feel that you really want to cleanse, you get into the shower and imagine yourself in a pillar of white light, and then imagine the water turning purple like grape juice, because that dark purple is the color of the crown chakra. And just let that flow down through
Mm,
you, through all the chakras, just cleansing that out.
yeah.
And
I
that's
have a friend who is very much into this too, and she even has someone like you as a guide. And her husband used to be law enforcement, and they had a tub of rock salt next to the door. And when he would come home, everything that went in that tub was from the uniform. The uniform went into the washer, but everything
right,
that was, like the Kevlar and all that stuff went into the rock salt tub because she's like, I don't want you to bring this in the house.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do, and I don't have one here to just grab and show you, is that of all the crystals we sell a lot of amethyst geodes. Okay. And if you want me to take 5 seconds and grab it, I can bring it onto the camera.
Sure.
Okay. All right. This is a small one. It's not a big cathedral.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's amethyst. And this is something that go on a desk or
Yeah.
on a table near the door. So it's dark purple. These come from Brazil.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is A grade, and we sell them at all sizes. And
Mm-hmm.
so the concept of a geode, you see how far I can put my hand in there, is to collect energy. And so we suggest to a lot of people, whether it's this size or like 2 feet tall, to put it near the front door and it becomes the welcome mat and it collects the energy
Mm-hmm.
going in so people don't track their energy all over your house.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
have, it's interesting when you go to my front door, people ask me all the time, they look and they keep looking. And then the questions come because if you see my front door, you would be like, this woman has multiple personalities. What's going on here? Because we have the Catholic thing going on, then we have a rosary, then we have the evil eye, then we have the bells, then we have the pentagon. We have all the things, and like a little broom, little cinnamon broom, whatnot. I'm like, it's all protection.
Right. And it's what you believe in. You believe in that. Someone watching this could say, well, it's a placebo effect. What's wrong with that?
Sure.
Right. But the whole concept, when it comes to magic working and things like that, magic is 10% herbs and 90% intention. And that when you lock in on that intention, like, someone could look at you like you sage and say, really, you're just smoking up the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's holy herbs, and your intention is you're cleaning the energy out. Mm-hmm. And so it is.
Yeah. Well, and they have proven that burning sage is actually very disinfecting to the air. So yeah, we are getting rid of stuff. It depends if you think it's just microbes, pathogens, or if it's bad energy. Probably both.
Like for instance, in using oils, it's like, for instance, eucalyptus. Okay?
Oh, you do doTERRA. I do too.
That's funny. Yeah.
I have the kids line over here. This is the Thinker, and I always put it on when I do shows so my ADHD brain turns off a little bit.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, and you're a Pisces, you're Neptunian, right? So with eucalyptus, this has actually been proven that putting germs on a slide under a microscope, eucalyptus oil is antibacterial, and the germs run away. And then lavender is antiviral. So in one of our products, candle or whatever it is, bath salt, in wintertime when commercials tell us it's cold and flu season, that's what they say. Right?
It's sugar season.
Mm-hmm. We make eucalyptus lavender products, so they're antiviral, antibacterial, and they're very, very healthy. They're naturally healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have our own, aside from, the doTERRA, we have big bottles of oils, blessed oils, that we get that go into all the products that we make. Our candles are soy, so there's no paraffin, there's no petroleum in them, and our oils have no phthalates in them. There's no chemical additives in the oils. And this is our typical 10-ounce jar.
That's beautiful.
This one's called Ice Dragon. Very powerful. This is a big time cleanser. So
yeah.
Anyway, love the concept of ritual. I mean, when you look at in the history of organized religion, there's a lot of things that are done in mysticism that are ritualistic. Catholicism. I was raised Catholic. It's full of that.
Well, yeah, you're Italian,
right? Yes, exactly. Yeah, all of that, water into wine and all the miracles. It's like for the rituals that we do in house cleansings, I make holy water, and people ask me, where'd you get the holy water? I made it. They go, you made it? It's like, yes, I made it. You don't need to go to a church and have holy water made. And in fact, here for the viewers, holy water is distilled water, blessed salt, which you need to get from a ritual store wherever you live, and then rosemary oil and rose oil, and that's holy water. There it is. No secret.
Yeah. I remember in the show Supernatural, also in like the early 2000s, I mean, they had like 15 seasons, so it's been going on for a long while. They always made holy water in dumping a rosary into the container of distilled water, shook it around and said, that's holy water now. It's like, it's genius.
Whatever works.
That's Hollywood, but
if you're in a pinch it and you've intended it, then so be it.
Yeah. These geos are funny because we have in Orlando, we have a store that has these very big wings, and they have it right on the cash counter. And this is why I know no matter who is, skepticism about energies and crystals, and I was like, well, it's an earth mineral. It does hold a certain vibration. It's coming from the earth. Right. I cannot stand next to these big geodes. I get nauseous and my head's pounding, and I get dizzy, and I was like, "Ooh, this is too much. I can't take that vibration."
Well, there is a volatility. I mean, crystals are formed in the earth, by piezoelectricity, which is compression, and pyroelectricity, which is combustion. And we know that diamonds are compressed coal over millions of years. And see, an amethyst geode, it's really half a bubble, okay?
Yeah.
That there was another piece to this that has been cleaved and just didn't work out, so it broke. But amethyst geode is really a gas bubble. So there could be something to that is a little too much.
Yeah, absolutely. So to put a couple of points on, because I know we talked about protection, and I think people are very interested about. So you said, focus on your solar plexus chakra. Imagine your bubble and your aura really protecting you. And you said, pull your antennas in, which that I think that requires maybe a little bit of practice too, because some of us, it's just always on. Like, I know for me, I have a very hard time to shut that off. How do you train that?
Well, first of all, the answer to a lot of questions is meditate. That is huge. And there's really no shortcut to a lot of things. Learn to meditate and meditate daily. And when you get more in touch with yourself, you will get more in touch with that world. But it's got to start here, then there. Unless a person is just so gifted that they're getting voices, all the time. But meditation is really the key, and meditation that is very sensory. So you're feeling, not just envisioning something. Learning to feel your energetic centers, the chakras.
Yeah. I can envision what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Here we go.
What do we do for the opposite? So let's say somebody says, well, I really want to train my intuition and I want to get better and I want my antennas to get bigger. Meditation.
And those are special kinds of meditations that I teach. I teach meditation leading to channeling and how to progressively get there. One thing I want people to understand that's very reassuring. You can just imagine as you look up at your ceiling and like there's ceiling tiles, that on the other side are spirits that are waiting to talk to us. They want to talk to us. Our mind as humans is taught that there is this divide between reality and fantasy, physical and non-physical, but it's this thin, wispy veil between us and them. And then the more that we go into deeper meditations, training the mind to accelerate, then we will pick up more on them. But that's really the answer. And also, a lot of people, their brains are so busy that they can't quiet their mind. I teach a right brain activation meditation, which goes into a lot of visualizations and activating that. And it's coming in the back door, but it works very well. Because people say, I can't meditate, I can't channel. Just spend about 8 weeks with me, and it starts to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about when you talk about how you handle these things and how you do these cleansings and how you do those house calls, I think what sets you apart from everybody else, especially when we talk about all these ghost shows and ghost hunters and all these people, or Hollywood, whatever we're seeing, I think you go in there with compassion and love for any being and any energy that's there. And not like you said, oh, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get rid of you. It's a beautiful approach to go in there with that love, to say, I'm here and I'm taking you into the light and I'm going to help you. And I think this is why your work works so beautifully, because they're probably there because they have never experienced that level of compassion before.
Right. And thank you for saying it like that. That is what we do. We don't want to fight with spirits. If we go in antagonized, angry, or fearful, then we're going to draw a mirrored response from the energy that's in there. So to come from a place in the heart, loving from the heart chakra, that is going to broadcast a connection to the spirits that it's okay. You think about somehow if an animal gets caught in a trap or something like that, that's what we're doing. We're releasing the spirit from what's binding them here so they can just go.
And I mean, just like you would approach that animal with care and slow and not trying to startle it,
Right.
with a little bit of pity because you know that animal is there and it's hurt and it doesn't want to be there. So yeah.
Exactly.
hmm
Exactly.
That's
And
beautiful.
and spirits get trapped for different reasons.
hmm
There's a lot of different things they're connected to, or maybe they passed on unexpectedly, accidentally. I mean, recently we cleared out two different places where people died in those homes, and the
Yeah.
essence of those individuals was definitely there. And sometimes they just want to come back to whatever that location is.
hmm Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's tragic. Um, I could talk to you for another 4 hours.
We can do this. Oh, yes. It's ordering lunch and dinner, and
Every time we speak, I get 5 more questions that I want to ask because this is so interesting. And it's not every day that you meet someone like you who can speak to all of these things and just is so honest like you and just unpacks these things. So yeah, don't be surprised if you get another email from me and I'm asking you to be on the show again.
well, I welcome it. Absolutely. I'd be happy to. How much time do we have left?
About 2 minutes.
Okay. This is something that came to me recently, and I'm going to sum up two different conversations that I've had with spirits. One, we come into the world, we're not judged by spirit, we're not judged as good or bad. We are seen as needing to fill this vessel with love.
Mhm.
And depending on how full, that's how and why we reincarnate to another physical form at some place, somewhere, to learn to continue to love. The other thing, which was very impactful, is that it was explained to me that this physicality, which is limited and on the planet a short time, is actually death. That life is eternal. And when we're non physical, that's when we're alive. This is all
Mhm.
about limitation and worry and stress and hell. And by
Yeah.
the way, there is no place of eternal damnation called hell.
Mhm.
Does not exist. A benevolent being would not do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So understand that we want to do the best that we can in this physical form. And the spirit said that many people, before they cross over, they get a big smile on their face
Mhm.
because they see and know where they're going, and they're going home. And they know
Mhm.
that they're going to have that euphoric, blissful happiness that's coming for them. So
Mhm.
I thought I'd share that.
That yes, I'm very glad you did because that is a beautiful reminder that we're not supposed to live in fear, and that this is there's an end because this is what our little human brain has been taught. There's always a beginning and an end. It's hard to wrap our mind around infinity.
Absolutely.
Mm. Well, thank you so much, Nick, for
You're welcome. Thanks for
sharing.
having me.
It was such a pleasure, and we really got to do this again
Please
because this
do.
is
Yeah,
this is like I mean this is again an infinity, a never-ending wealth of stuff we can talk about with so many different things, and you do so many different things, and you have so many talents. So I'm sure that we can fill easily another episode with you being on the show. So I
definitely.
really appreciate that you were here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'd
All
love
right.
to come back.
Yes, please. All right,
Thanks for
y'all.
doing such a good job in presenting wonderful programming to the public. Good for you.
Well, thank you. That's the goal. It's the goal of sharing and taking stigmas away from things and open people's minds, hopefully a little bit more. Yeah.
Yep. It's wide open for you.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Well, everybody, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and share it with your friends or with somebody you think needs to hear this. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that need to hear this, and we see you again next week. Have a great week. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, a review, and share it with somebody you think needs this. Have a fabulous day. See you next time.